Hello, today I'm going to talk about buying language learning textbooks, course books. And in particular, this is a response to several messages that I've received personally or that I've seen on various forums where people complain that language learning is expensive because textbooks are expensive. And I've noticed a trend where people always seem to think that newer is better. In fact, I've seen a couple of videos of people who, when a new version of a book comes out, seem to rush out and buy the newest edition, so they have several editions of the same textbook. And I don't take that approach. I mostly tend to buy used or second-hand textbooks, and I think it brings some advantages. And I'm going to talk about those in this video. So let's first look at the advantages and disadvantages, and then I'll talk about the textbooks I've bought. So starting out with new books, well, they tend to be quite expensive, particularly if you buy several of them. And this can lead to a fear of buying. So you think, I'd like to buy that book, but I don't know if it's any good. And it's a lot of money, so I won't buy it, perhaps. I'm not so sure. So that limits the textbooks that you get. It makes them less accessible to you. And as I've said, it requires a relatively big budget if you're unemployed or a student or you have a family to support. The money isn't necessarily easy to come by. Many of the modern textbooks are quite unproven. There's some new theory on how to teach languages, which sounds good, but does it work in practice? And even with the new editions of some books, they've taken out a few sections, put a new few sections in, maybe added some colour pictures. And sometimes I think these changes are just for the sake of having a new version of the book, not because they've added anything. Oh, you may hear banging noises in the background. One of my neighbours is having a new kitchen put in. Okay, and I actually find that many modern textbooks suffer from what is sometimes called dumbing down. They've been made more approachable for a larger audience, but it actually means that they contain less useful material. They're scared of putting things in that may be too complicated for people, so they tend to make them less comprehensive from edition to edition. And I don't want a textbook that looks easy. I want a textbook that is helpful to me. But buying new textbooks, I've noticed in some cases, promotes the idea that newer is better. Yes, that textbook is well known, but it's old. That was made 20 years ago. There's this brand new textbook that comes out. That must be better because it's newer. That hasn't been my experience, that newer is better. And this then leads to a pressure to upgrade. You've got the out-of-date one. You need to get the new one. More expense again. I don't buy into this. I buy old or used books for the following reasons. They're really, really cheap. As you'll see with some of the books that I'm going to show, they often cost me 1 pence, 2 pence, something like that. I tend to have an upper limit of £1, $1.50. And for that, you can just buy things and try them. It doesn't matter if you've spent a penny on a book and decide it's no good for you. You can throw it away. And you can then decide on your favourites. Buy a whole range of books from different publishers and work out which ones you like and stick with those. You no longer feel guilt that you've bought a book because it didn't really cost you anything. And it lets you be adventurous. I recently bought a textbook all about Ukrainian, which I'm slowly looking through with no particular ambitions in Ukrainian, but I wouldn't have bought it at the full price. I just saw it there for 1 pence and bought it. So the older books, those that have survived the time, are proven books. Some of them are now classics, and they tend to be packed with information, as we'll see. Well, I'll show you an example straight away, actually. There was a time when paper was considered very expensive, so they wouldn't have padding and empty blank spaces in pages and pictures that were unnecessary. Here's one book that cost me, I think it was 1 pence or 2 pence. It's a conversational guide in English, French, German and Russian. And, you know, the writing is really densely packed in here. There's just every possible bit of space filled on every page. It's like that all the way through. I mean, every page is just densely packed with text. And because of this, it's 266 pages long, but absolutely chock-a-block with information. So it's actually a very comprehensive book. Nowadays, most books that are 266 pages long, like this, would have lots of padding and nowhere near as much information in them. So the information content in these older books is often much higher, and you can't rush through them. These are books that you will spend time with. Okay, so they were often written in what I think is the golden age of language learning, when they were not dumbed down. It's when the reader was expected to be challenged and want to improve themselves, not just to find the book easy. And importantly, with second-hand used books, most, or a large number of them, are actually like new, because most language learners start with enthusiasm, and within the first few pages the book stays on the shelf. So for people who really are into language learning, you're effectively buying a new book. Only the first few pages are being glimpsed at. So it's not as though you're thumbing through some old and dirty thing. So let's look at some particular ones I've bought. So some are classics, which are just very expensive, and I bought these to save me money. I bought the French in Action series. So here's the textbook, and I've got 2-volume workbook, and normally these are very expensive. I think it's $100 or something like that to get these. I paid 1 cent each for these, so 3 cents for the 3 books, plus postage, yes, but the postage wasn't too expensive, and for 1 cent you can't go wrong. And now I've got some fantastic books that I'll probably have on my bookshelf forever, because these are the French in Action series, beautiful. I've read them, by the way, have worked through them, and it was 1 pence well spent on each one. So here's an example of a textbook which I originally bought for French years ago, French Made Simple, and these books are available in loads of languages. So there's a follow-up French, which I did, Italian, I've got, this is the one I'm working through at the moment, German, Spanish, Russian, I've even got more of them. And again, I bought all these for 1 pence in the UK, and it was £1.50 each, including postage. So they didn't cost me very much. And I actually bought the French and follow-up French ones first, realized I liked them, and so bought all the others. And again, my total expenditure on, well, I've got about 10 of these, is about £15, which is less than the price of 1 textbook. Now, I'm not advocating that you should do that. I'm not saying go and buy those specific textbooks. But I was able to buy lots of different textbooks, decide which ones I liked, and then buy a whole series of them. So, for example, here's another one, the Living Language Ultimate French series, well, Ultimate for various languages. And I really like this series. It's unfortunately out of print. They've got a new version which is dumbed down. It doesn't go as far as the French Beginner and Intermediate, and then French Advanced. Again, I've worked through both of these, found them fantastic. You just can't get them now. The dumbed down versions are available, but these you have to buy used. And I found them all on eBay for 99 pence each. And I forgot what the postage was, but it wasn't too much. And I enjoyed the French ones so much. I've got the German series, Italian, and Spanish. Yeah, all with both the basic and advanced. I'm currently working through the German series. And again, at 99 pence each plus postage, there was no risk. After buying the French ones, I realized I liked them, so I bought the rest of the series. Here are some others. These aren't so much textbooks, they are thousands of sentences with translations, starting off simple and then building up. So this is the Learn French by Charles Berlitz, which my brother actually gave me a long time ago, and I liked it, and so I then bought the German, Spanish and Italian ones, and these are actually like brand new. You can even see from the covers, I don't know if the person that originally bought them even opened them. And I bought all of these again on eBay. I think it was actually the set of 3. I can't remember if I bought them together or separately. But again, I think they were 1p each, and they're in brand new condition. And I like those. And then here are a few more examples. These are ones that cost me a little bit more, but only a few pounds still. I like Assimil books. I have the Assimil books for many languages, but the old Without Toil books, French Without Toil, that was brilliant. And I've recently got German Without Toil. I also have Italian Without Toil. Those are the only 3. I don't have any Spanish one without toil. But I see these as complementary to the new Assimils because the stories are actually, the dialogues are actually different, almost completely different from the newer books. So it's like having an extra Assimil volume. And they were a few pounds, a little bit more than £1, but I don't remember how many, but a few pounds, good value. And it doesn't just relate to textbooks. I was recently in Paris and I bought all 7 volumes of Harry Potter in French, and they were, as you can see, this means here, this means a used book, but they're either brand new or the person that owned them was the most careful reader in the world because the pages look completely brand new, the spines aren't broken or anything, and I got the whole lot for, I think it was €23. It might have been €25, but I think it was €23 for all 7 volumes. And that's going to keep me occupied with reading for a very long time. So it's not a particularly deep or profound philosophical video, it's just that language learning doesn't have to be expensive. Textbooks don't have to be expensive. You don't have to rush to get new books. You can experiment, get a few cheap second-hand ones, used ones, decide which you like, and then just buy a load in that series like I've done. And you will find that language learning then becomes very cheap. You aren't addicted to getting the newest books, and you might even find some real treasures in the old books. Thank you. Bye-bye.